Hi there, it's Michelle from CNC Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in New Zealand, and I'm here to bring you another Global Monthly Video Hop. So if you haven't seen these before, once a month, at the beginning of each month, myself and demonstrators from around the world put up videos based on a theme. And then once you're done watching my video, you can click on the links in the description below to hop over to the other demonstrators' videos to see more projects made based on that theme. So this month, our theme is Valentine's Day because it's just around the corner. It's beginning of February at the moment. So you can see projects based on that theme this month. However, if you're not doing anything with Valentine's, you can always change up the project or change the sentiment to turn it into something else. So this is just to give you lots of inspiration. So once you're done watching my video, please look at the link below and click on one of the others to have a look at more ideas for Valentine's Day. I will also be posting the products used in this video in the description below. So if you wish to purchase any of those, you can do so. It will tell you which product numbers and products I used. If you're in New Zealand and don't already have a demonstrator, I'd love to be yours, and you can go to my site, michellekritchley.stampinup.net, to order directly from me or to contact me if you want more information. And if you live near me in Tuakau, you can always come to my classes. If you're from another country, you can go to stampinup.com to find a demonstrator near you, or click on one of the links in the description below and find a demonstrator that lives in the country you're at. So you can order these products. So I'm doing it slightly different, not the traditional Valentine's Day with lots of love and hearts, etc. I am going to show you a card made with one of with the items that you can get free this month from Sale-A-Bration. So this is Stampin' Up! Celebration brochure. It comes out at the beginning of every year to celebrate everyone. Customers can earn free gifts. And this one actually finishes at the end of February, which is a leap year if you weren't aware of that. So the 29th of February, Celebration finishes. But in the brochure, there's Jungle Pals. So with qualifying orders, you can get free products. So you can get the free stamp set, or you can get the free dies. So in New Zealand, if you spend $110 this month, you can choose the stamp set, and if you spend $220, you can choose the dies. So if you spend $330, you can get both. So that's what I've got here. Let me show you the stamps. So that's the stamp set. So it's got 5 jungle animals, and then the dies are here. Now I've used some of them, and I'll be using some in this project, but there's dies that cut out each of the animals, and then they also have extra dies that cut out other little bits and pieces. You can cut out trees, you can cut out different types of leaves, which we'll be using some. So we can do leaves, we can do vines for the jungle, and these beautiful little detailed flowers. You can cut those out. So those show you some of the things that the dies allow you to do. And I love that with Stampin' Up! Quite often the die sets don't just cut out the stamps, the coordinating stamps, they have extra elements so you can build up your card. So I'll show you what we're going to do today. There's the card. So we've got a couple, I think they're crocodiles or alligators, not sure. In love here, and a little toucan, I think it's a toucan, watching over them. But I'm going to change it up. If you've watched any of my other videos, I'll change it up slightly. And then inside I've just got some stamps from a different set. I didn't quite like the inside that much. But you can see the different layers, and they're hiding behind the grass. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to make this with slight changes. And the hearts and the words come from the Be My Valentine set, which is in the mini catalog that's valid until the end of April. So that one comes with a punch, and you can do bees and lots of Valentine things and other lovely sweet things to do with bees. At the end of the video, I'm going to show you a couple other cards that I made that can be used for Valentine's Day, so stick around. One is using the B set and one is using a different one. It's more of a masculine set using tools. So let's get started with this one. You will need your standard card base. So this card opens this direction. So it's a landscape card, but it's opening this direction. You could do the landscape card opening side direction. It's up to you. So standard card base for whatever country you're in. Here in New Zealand, it is an A6 card. Now that is an A4 piece cut in half, scored in the middle. So it's scored at 10.5 centimeters and folded over. And then that leaves you with 1/4 of an A4, which is an A6 size card. So opened up it's A5, but this size is A6. So that's 10.5 centimeters by 14.85 centimeters wide. And then for this, excuse me, this we need 2 pieces of white cardstock, one for the front and one for the inside. So you cut the that cardstock just down slightly so you can see some of the edge. So that is 10 centimeters by 14.3, or if you want just, you could do 14. So 2 of those, one for inside, one for outside. And then you just need scraps of the colors that you're going to use to do the rest of your card. So I use Crumb Cake for the trees, Old Olive, and what's my other color is Granny Apple Green. And then I'm going to color the crocodiles in the same way. This crocodile was done with the Pretty Peacock. I think it was Pretty Peacock. With one of the in colors, Parakeet Party. So I colored the original one with Parakeet Party, but for this one I'm going to go with the 2 colors of the green that I've done. And so using the dies, these are some other shapes that you can cut out with the dies. So I've already gone ahead and pre-cut the grass shape. So big long grass. I've got it in the Granny Apple Green and the Old Olive. And I've just done 5 of those. So I've done 2 in the light and 3 in the dark. I'm going to cut up some of those. And I've also done lots of the leaves. Now the leaf die comes in 2 different sizes. So you can see there's 2 different sizes, and it cuts right through, so you have that interesting embellished shape. So it looks quite good for leaves on trees. So I did 4 of those. So two of each color with the 2 different sizes. So I've ended up with 8 leaves. I might cut more if I find I need more. And I did cut some of these big leaves. I might pop those inside instead of stamping on the inside. And now I did the tree trunks. Now, let me show you the die and explain how I did these tree trunks. So this is the die for the tree. And so it's got 3 branches, and I don't know if you can see, but it's got the grooves to give you embossed texture on the middle. But this side here doesn't actually cut. So there's nothing on the side or the top and bottom of it that cuts. So when you do your tree, depending on where you put it on the paper, you can get different thicknesses. So I had a piece of crumb cake, and I did the crumb cake at 10 centimeters high, and then just whatever length I want it, because I'm cutting it out. So in doing so, then I wouldn't have to cut the top and the bottom of the tree. So when I did that, I did this right to the side and cut that out. So that's 10 centimeters there. And I cut this right at the edge of the paper. So that gave me this wide of a tree trunk. And so you can see the embossed in the center, and I've got 2 of the branches. And the bottom I had to snip that little bit there because it doesn't cut all the way down. But that's going to be covered up, so I don't mind that I don't have any embossing down at the bottom. So that came out of this side here. Now the other side, so if you imagine that this piece of crumb cake was actually this whole sheet, right? So it was originally that size. So I did one piece like that and got that section here. So that gave me that skinny tree branch. And then the other side, I swapped it around, and I wanted to make sure I had branches high enough so that you could see above the crocodile, and I cut it there. Now, cutting it there left me with this whole section. So I ended up with a very fat trunk, but I wanted to have tree branches, and I also wanted to have the embossed tree bark image. So this is what I originally had, and then I swapped this around and cut it again like that to give me the embossed center on both sides of the tree. And then when I cut it this way, I've got partial branches sticking out the side, but that's okay because that's going to be the edge of my paper. And so I ended up with two pieces left over. So that's how I ended up with two different sizes of the tree, as well as the branches look different because I've turned it over. I could have done it the same direction and had the same type of branches. And also when you cut it out, you could always just turn your tree upside down and use it that way. So I could use it on the other side. So that's a tip for you on how to get a wider tree. And then that also gave me the nice embossing lines on there. So that's the tree cut out. So let's get started on this card. So we're going to do some stamping. Now, with the set, as I said, you've got 5 animals. So crocodile, as you might notice, is only going one direction. So I'm going to show you a tip on how to swap them over and get them going both directions. Now, I've already used the toucan there. I've gone and I've colored these guys with my Stampin' Blends. They come out really nice with the Stampin' Blends. And I've also got the sloth. So this time around, I'm going to use the sloth on my card. So I'm going to have the sloth hanging on the card. I'll have to put the words in a different area. And then these two I'll use for a different card. I haven't decided yet. But this is a great set if you like to color. These I colored with my Stampin' Blends. You can color them with your pencils or your water painters, anything you'd like. So let me show you how to stamp. I'm going to do the words last because it all depends on where I end up putting my sloth. Let me show you how to get the crocodile going a different direction. So I use my Stamparatus. I don't think it's in the main catalog at the moment, but I believe it is coming back. If you don't have your Stamparatus, you can work out another way to do this. I just need something on the background. It's always good to have something like a stamp case. So when you ink it up, you're inking it flat, because if you ink it up without the case, it's actually going at an angle and you're not getting the even pressure on it. It's always good to stick something back there. That's my cleaner in there. And then silicone matte. So you can do this a few different ways, but my favorite method is using the Stampin' Up silicone matte. You could use it with just a clear window sheet and just pop that in there. And when I show you the method, you'll see how it's done. But I will also show you the difference on how it looks depending on whether you use the silicone matte or the window sheet, because I have tried both and I find the silicone matte is better. So just stick your silicone matte up into the corner of your Stamparatus. If you don't have a Stamparatus, you can just attach this in a corner section and then make sure that you just stamp the image in the exact same spot every time. So we're going to use Memento ink. One thing I forgot to have handy. Hold on. Okay, so Memento ink. The reason we're using Memento ink is I'm coloring it with Stampin' Blends. So you need to use a water-based ink if you're going to color with alcohol pens. If I was coloring with water-based pens, I would want to use the StazOn ink. But for this technique, you don't want StazOn because you want it to stay wet enough to transfer onto your paper. So you definitely want to use Memento ink, or you could even use one of our other colored inks if you're stamping something and you want to have a colored image. You could do it that way. So ink up your image. Now I'm going to put the image down toward the bottom because if you do it too close to the edge, you don't get good pressure. So I'm going to have it down towards the bottom. And these will be die cut because I do have the dies to die cut them. So ink it up, turn it over onto your silicone mat, press down to get the image to show up on the silicone mat. Sorry if I'm wobbling a bit. And you do this a few times. See if you can see that. So some of the ink isn't as dark as other spots, and you want to have it pretty dark. And the reason I'm using the Stamparatus is because it keeps the image in the exact same spot, because we want to do this a few times. So you ink it up a few times onto your silicone mat to get you a nice dark image. And then you will see how that gets on the reverse of the card. So I can still see it's not quite as dark at the top, and it's probably because of the pressure I'm doing. So I'm going to ink up mainly the parts that look like they're not getting enough ink. And then just one last time. So you could do 2 or 3 times. You could do it more if you want it to be darker. If you use the other foam-based ink pads, you probably don't need to do it quite as much. So it looks like there's enough ink on that image there. I should have done a clear background. It'd be easier for you to see. And then you just carefully place your cardstock. You don't want it to smear, so I start in the corner and just let it drop down. And then, without bothering to ink up, you then press again. And the reason you press again, I could just rub that, but I might smear the ink. But the reason you do it this way is it's putting pressure right where that ink is on the silicone mat. So you're going to pick up the ink in the right spots. If I just rub my hands, I might smear that ink. And the other reason we're doing this is because we're going to die cut it. Now, if you were just doing an image like on a big piece and you want it reversed pictures, you wouldn't need to have it inked on this side. So there's our crocodile the way he's meant to be stamped. And let's open up, and hopefully we got him opposite. So there we have him 2 directions. A little dark around the foot, but that's okay. Now, I'm going to quickly color this guy in with the Stampin' Blends. In the Granny Apple Green, and then his eyes and his teeth I am doing in the Dark Daffodil Delight. So I will pause it and I'll color him, and then I will die cut him. Now before I do that, I'll just show you the die and explain the benefit of having it stamped on both sides. So there's the die, and it's like the stamp where it only cuts it out the direction that you stamp, which makes lots of sense. So even though I'm going to color this side, I can't possibly cut him out that way. I could fussy cut him, but because I have the image on the back identically exactly where it is, I just die cut that, and that crocodile will be cut out correctly. Now, I said I was going to show you the difference between doing the silicone mat, and then you could just do it on the window sheet, which is the way that we used to do it because before we had the silicone. But that's how it looks. Now look how fuzzy the lines are on that versus, I smeared it a bit. The lines on there aren't quite as fuzzy as the lines on there. That's because with the window sheet, there's not a bit of give, but there's a bit of give on the silicone mat, and it allows you to get better lines. So looking at that at a distance, you can see. Now this looks like he's colored in. That's because with the Stampin' Blends it bleeds through. So coloring this side of the Stampin' Blends has made it bleed through to this crocodile there. And he looks kind of interesting. It's kind of a gray one. So I'm going to color that in, and I'll die cut both of them, and we'll come back and put the card together. Okay, so here I am. There's the one I colored earlier and die cut. And now this is the one that I've done the reverse. Now it looks like I haven't finished coloring it in, but I have, because remember, this is the reverse. So put the die on the reverse side so you can die cut it. And then you get a perfect die cut image of the side that you want. And so that's the side that was colored in. Because I use Stampin' Blends, it bleeds through, so that's why that looks that way. So now we have two reversed. But if I like the look of that faded one, I could go that way, and I could have a strange green one and a gray crocodile if I want. Those are kind of interesting looking, but I'm going with that. Okay, so that's how you get your reversed image die cut. Let's bring back the pieces that we need. So we are creating our seams. Now with the crocodiles, they always like to be hidden so you can't see them before they come out. So I'm just kind of weaving him through a bit of this grass. And then I'm going with the light grass at the bottom and then the darker, because this grass is the same, supposed to be the same color as that, and then this guy is the same. So I might mix them up. Oop. And maybe weave them through differently like that. You want them to be woven through, but you also want to be able to see them a bit. So maybe come through like that. There we go. So he's woven inside there, and that one's woven inside there. Now I've got to figure out where my trees are going. And don't worry if there's any gaps there, because we will be covering that with other grass. So it just needs to be in there a little bit. Put that under. Okay, so my trees, I'm going to put this tree on one side. So where's my glue? Hopefully it's behaving today. We're having a lot of humidity here in New Zealand because it's summer, and I find sometimes the glue does not want to come out. And then when you finally get it coming out, like if you poke the end of it to get it to come out, sometimes it comes out too much because of the pressure, the atmospheric pressure. Come on. This one does not want to play ball. I might have to get myself a new one. Sometimes you get a little bit stuck in the very tip. Oh, there we go. Got some coming out. All right. Now I'm just going to put this tree off to the side, and then we're going to figure out where to put the other tree based on where the crocodiles are going to be. But I'm not doing my stamping yet because I want to build I want to build my scene up, and then I'll know where to put the stamping. So I'm just going to push him right to the edge there. And if you turn it over, you can check to see if you've gone too far, because you can see where the color is showing through. Okay. Don't want any of the white to be seen. And then when I'm happy with that, I'll just push the branches down. I have a little bit of a fluff. My cutter blades need changing, so it causes fluff. All right, and then this one here, because the sides are already cut off evenly, I'm just going to do it where it's straight against the edges there. So let's see, is my glue going to cooperate? Yep. Yeah, always like to get the last little bit out of your glue bottles. But a little goes a long way, so you don't need to have big bits, just a few dots around those skinny parts. So even though it doesn't look like there's a lot of glue, that's plenty of glue to hold things. Little dots of glue everywhere. So this one I'm going to try to push it to the edge as well as keep it top and bottom. That's why I'm using glue, because that way I can wiggle it into place. So I want top and bottom, and then I also want it right to those edges. And having the branches cut off gives me that look. Now if you wanted to have the wider tree with, you know, the branches coming all the way off, I mean showing all the way, then on that brown piece move it over further, and when you did this side you could have branches, you could have a tree right in the middle with branches from both sides, which would look really cool. And even though this is coming off the edge, it kind of looks like a root, but it's going to be covered. Now we got to decide where to put our other elements. So we got this little guy here, and we want to be able to have some love hearts coming up. So we've got to see where our love hearts are going to go. And this guy is going to come over here. So I might have him a bit closer so we can get love hearts coming up maybe from both sides, because if I have them there, I could have some up above, but I could have him closer on that side. The other thing is you got to remember where the edge of your card is. And then the other element is the words Happy Valentine's Day. So I want my sloth to be coming down from this tree. So my Happy Valentine's Day words are going to go over here. So that's why I'm not doing any leaves yet. So now that I've got an idea of how my scene's going to look, I'm going to use my Sweet Sorbet ink pad. And I'm going to put my Happy Valentine's Day. Now it's crooked on the block, which is fine, but just to make sure that I don't go too crooked when I stamp, I'll just reattach it. And so I'll put my Happy Valentine's Day. I think I'll put it closer here because the leaves will go up outside the edge. So straight down, a little bit of pressure, straight up. That's such, I like the writing. Nice. And then I'll put my love hearts on. I'll put some up, and that way I'll know where to put my little crocs. They both are loving each other. I might put these ones down a bit lower, maybe. I don't want to stamp on my crocodile. There. So we got our little love hearts because they're in love. I thought about maybe putting a bit of lipstick on the end of the snout of one of them, but they could be two boys, they could be two girls, so I left it off. Okay, so now that you know where everything's going to go there, got to stick them down. So these guys, I'm going to stick them all the way down flat. So just tucked away into the leaves and get some of this lovely glue going. He's going to go flat, but the elements on the front are going to stick up a bit. So it's best to just turn them over to see where you need to glue. And as I said, a little goes a long way, so don't worry if your glue's not coming out really strong. You don't want too much glue. So we're going to pop him there where his tail doesn't go off the card, but we also want to have him close to those love hearts. Okay, so that's the first one popped down. And what I do quite often, which is why my blocks end up being so dirty, is I use a block to hold down things that I've glued. So just pop the block on. That's why my blocks end up with glue all over them, if you've been wondering, thinking, boy, her blocks are awfully dirty and sticky. But it's easy to clean. I've done videos on it before. You know, you can just use simply a wet wipe. Some people do soap and water, but I find the best way to clean it is the hand sanitizer, because it's got the alcohol in it and it cleans really well. the sticky stuff. Eucalyptus oil is another good thing to get rid of sticky grime, but then sometimes it just is too strong smell. Okay, so some glue on the back of my other crock, and we'll put him or her so they're close to their love. Okay. So depending on how big your tree is, you get different looks. Because in a minute I'll show you. So this tree is almost the same as that, but this tree I have the different branches. So I have different branches on there that I cut this side. This has got the wobbly branch and that's got the one coming down. And that's perfect for that sloth to hang on. So I think I will try to do a 3D sloth. So doing a 3D sloth, trying to make them look 3D. So pop them in your hand and then just use something to give them a bit of rub around the center. Okay, give them a bit of depth. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put some dimensionals in the center. Now, I don't know where my big dimensionals are gone, so I've only got my little ones here. So I'm going to put some dimensionals there, but we're going to glue down the fingers and the bottom, so he kind of gives him a bit of a rounded body. Okay. So pop a little bit of glue there on his fingers. And a bit of glue down the bottom. So you gotta remember where you put your glue. But I got dimensionals in the middle. So there's another technique for you. So now we're gonna put him so he's holding on to the branch. Oh, right up holding that branch. And using my bone folder, I'm just gonna give a bit of pressure around where I put the glue. So I got glue on his hands to hold the branch, but I don't have glue in the center, so I'll pick it up in a minute and give you a better look. So just going around that edge, and I could have put more glue around the edges, but it doesn't really matter. But so he's holding on. Now, if you have a look at that, see he's raised up slightly? So he's raised up just in the middle. And the hands and stuff are holding the branch. So I don't know if you can see that. See how he's kind of raised up more than the card. So he's up slightly. Gives him kind of a more rounded, that belly look. Okay, so now that my crocks are in, I can then strategically put in the rest of the items. So just kind of look around and see where things are going to fit. Some might just fit perfectly right on top of others. Some you might need to move, because see, this is exactly the same. So if I put that like right there, you're not going to see anything. If I move it over slightly, it looks like a bunch of branches, except these are hanging off the edge, so that's probably not good. But that's a good disguise for the crocodile, so I might snip that one down. And then the same over here. I can give him a nice disguise. I don't want to disguise him too much. So this one here, I might just move it over slightly. And that will give me decent disguising there. And then the last one I can cut into pieces to, you know, put the disguise, or maybe even just leave it as is. So this one here, I want to cut it slightly. So you could cut more of these if you need, you know, to fit your design. Now, I'm not going to glue the whole thing down because I want it to give us a 3D effect. If you're going to post this, I suggest you put your mini dimensionals behind these leaves. If you're not going to post it, then just leave it. So my original one, I didn't put any dimensionals behind the leaves, but if I'm going to post it, I would, to keep them curved up. But without posting, you can just leave them and they just kind of give you a bit of a effect. So I'm just going to glue the bottom of this because I want my leaves to be sticking out. And then, let's see, look, oh, it might look better that way, I think. Yep, I like that one better. There we go. So, move things around. The other thing is I could curve up that one, that leaf on the inside. Just curve it up slightly. Give it a bit more dimension. And then this one here, I think we might just go with that part. And curve up our leaves. Again, glue the bottom. And then stick them. So I'm just trying to cover up more of the white part of the crocodile. So you don't quite see all the white part on the feet, but you still see our little croc peeking his head out. Now that, I could even tuck that under there. I think I will snip this one off. And maybe snip that off, because I think it's just going too close. And then I'm just going to curve around the bottom so it looks more natural. Okay. So it's not as straight, just a bit more natural. And so I'm just trying to cover up, you know, the little white bits, make it look interesting, give them a bit more hiding area. They're in love, they need their privacy. So this one I'm just going to tuck slightly over there. And you'll see in a minute how I tuck that in. Okay. So I'm going to pause the video and finish doing all the decorating because you don't want to sit here watching this the whole time. But I'm also going to then put leaves on the trees. So you can put them directly on the ends of things if you want. Or you can just, you know, put them wherever you'd like. And so on my original one, you don't really see the ends as much. I'll just put them around. But depending on how you put your scene, you've got to watch where you put your leaves because you don't like want to leave coming off the end here and covering up your hearts. You wouldn't want to do that. But you could have a leaf coming up that way above the hearts. So I'm going to do all that off, pause it and do all that, and then you can see the finished result. Okay, so there we go. I did this all, paused it to finish it up, so you didn't have to watch me gluing everything. So I did some of the leaves, like I did the sloth, where I put a dimensional in the middle and then glue on the tips, so you can see some of the leaves are actually sticking up. So depending on what elements you put here, then you decide where to pop the leaves. So I had one tree old olive and one granny apple green, and then stuck it all down onto a granny apple green base. So this one I went a bit overboard. The crocodiles are really well hidden under the grass. I think because I cut more of this than my original one. And then on the inside I just put a couple more die cuts. I was thinking I could even go more because this looks a bit blank there. I could do a bit more and add maybe some vines, you know, or so you could have some vines going across the top. Yeah, maybe put some vines in there instead. You could have had the sloth hanging from a vine, but I just thought sloths hang from trees, not vines. They're too heavy. And you could even pop in some elements, you know, if you want some colors in there, just pop some flowers in. So that's my Valentine card. This was my original sample one, So you can see the crocodiles aren't covered up as much. I think I did 2 of the old olive and 2 of the granny apple green. And this one, I think I cut 3 of the old olive, that's why. So which one's your favorite? Do you like it with the crocodiles quite hidden away down there? Or do you like it better where you can see them more? So those are my Valentine's cards. Make sure you click on the links below to hop over to some other demonstrators from across the world to see what they did for Valentine's cards this time. You could just simply change that up to happy birthday, you know, and take the hearts away and just have the crocodiles hiding. This almost looks like they're waiting for the sloth to fall if you take the hearts away. But I did say I'm going to show you some other Valentine cards. So from the Be My Valentine stamp set, which comes with a punch that punches out the body shape and hearts, which can be used for the wings as well, and little hearts. Here's the punch there. So that's the B shape, big heart, and little heart. So from that set, I made this Valentine card. So I use one of the B body shapes to put in the words, "You make my heart buzz." And then for that collection, it actually comes with some of the pretty little embellished hearts there. And so did that with the bees. It's quite easy to do because you got a background stamp and the striped stamps. And then on the inside, I just put the flowers. And this background is from DSP from the online exclusive set, and that DSP is Meandering Meadows. So there's lots of interesting scenes in there and lovely colors in the background. So I like the look of this. It reminds me of some of those animated shows where the background is like a painted background and then the animation in the front. So that's another Valentine card. Pop these guys aside. And then the other one for the men, or the non-masculine, non-feminine card, could be for women because I do all my DIY and I have lots of tools, is this one here. So this is the new tools set in the mini catalog, and it is the Trusty Tools stamp set, and then it comes with dies as well. So for this one, I didn't actually use any of the stamps from the stamp set. I used the dies to build up all my tools. So there's dies that do all this. This one I die cut in yellow and black, and then I cut out segments of it, of the yellow, to glue onto the black. And then there's a die that does nuts and bolts and things as well. So there's a die that cuts out little holes. So I did the die, I think maybe 3 times to get the full background, and then stitched because I also am do embroidery, and I love cross stitch and other embroidery projects, and immediately I thought, ooh, you could stitch on there. So that is the tools that say Be Mine, and then when you open it up, it is a I can't think of the name. It's a, I can't think of the style of card. I want to say trestle card, but so when it opens up, it's got the hinge in the back. So when it opens up, you just it leans against those bits which are raised up. So again, these are all just the dies from the set. There's even a die that cuts a strip that has the ends like that, and I thought that looks like a roll of tape, so that's what I made that with. And so you can make different tools that aren't just on the stamp. So the dies will cut out these stamped images, but then and the pencil, but then there's dies that cut out more than just that. So this is good for Father's Day, but here in New Zealand, Father's Day is in September, I believe. So this isn't really relevant for this time of year here in New Zealand. So that's why I used it for other things. And so that way we have our Valentine's Day tool card. So I hope you enjoyed those. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to see other ones, as well as make sure you click on the links below to go to the other demonstrators videos for the video hop. And as I said, I will also be putting the product codes below. So if you want to purchase any of these products, you'll know what code they are. If you're in other countries, I believe the codes still work. But if you're here in New Zealand, you can go to my website and order directly from me. Thanks so much for having a look, and have a happy Valentine's Day.